want to stay? Yeah, you can actually pull that up. Actually, you know what? No, not yet. Okay. All right. Need the mic. Can you guys hear me okay without the mic? Yes. You guys good? Yes, sir. Some of y'all like, nah. All right. So tonight I'm going to take a little bit longer. We're going to about 30 minutes, okay? But I think it's important that we do that. I really believe we have an incredible opportunity right here in Houston, Texas. Okay? I didn't get no amens on that.
Oh, yeah. I agree. Yes, yes.
I really do. I really believe that Houston has the potential to be an incredible market in this country. Amen.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
And we've been doing this now once a month. Okay? The goal really is to now, eventually coming out of the Alive convention, is to have it every week. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. How many would like to be able to invite guests next week?
Yes.
Right? Today is what? Today is what? Thursday?
Yes.
Like next week, Thursday, you got started tonight, you would like to invite people out next week. Right? Versus waiting another month, right? Obviously, there's a lot of things we do in between the month that allows these meetings to continue to grow and whatnot. But the goal coming out of the Alive convention would be to have weekly meetings. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then eventually have a Super Saturday where we have 500 people, grow it to 700, grow it to 1,000. When we start doing that, that's when your market is really, really humming. Does that make sense? Yes. And I just looking at the landscape right now in the industry, it's right. Does that make sense? It's really, really, there's not a whole lot really going on right now in Houston like what we have going on right now. All right, and I believe we can take it to a whole nother level. But I'm going to do this training, and here's what I'm going to ask each and every one of you. I'm going to ask you to take notes. If you are a leader, I need you to take notes. I need you to sit down, and I need you to take notes. If you're a leader, you should sit down, and I want you to take notes. This is very, very important. This information, ladies and gentlemen, is extremely powerful. It's extremely powerful. It is how you win. It's really how you win. And I'm so passionate about it because I know it works. Does that make sense? Yeah. I know it works. And it's success. Everybody in this room, you want to be successful. What does it mean to be successful in Envision You? And initially, every entrepreneur, when you start in this industry of network marketing, the holy grail is to get to $10,000 a month. That's the holy grail. Tell me. Yeah, we've heard these testimonies, people get to $100,000 a month. And people getting $500,000 a month, getting $1 million a month. And what happened was, because we heard all these testimonies, we started to poo-poo 10 grand a month. And let me tell you something, 10 grand a month, that's $120,000 in a year in network marketing. That's a big deal.
Yes.
And I know it's a big deal because everybody in this room right now, imagine if everybody was just making 10 grand a month in this room. Just 10. Do you know there'll be people in this room making 30? There'll be some people in this room making 100. Just by helping people make what?
10.
Yep. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
So success, let's start with just $10,000 a month. If that was your first goal, that, you know what, in my first 12 to 18 months, with this business part-time, I'm going to generate an additional $10,000 per month. And you made that your goal. You made that your focus to make what?
$10,000
a month. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to follow this formula. Desire plus skill times faith equals success. That's the formula I want you to follow. Desire is the starting point of all achievement. It's the starting point of all what? Achievement. The achievement is what?
10,000.
10,000 a month. But how do I cultivate a desire? This information I'm sharing with you works for $10,000 a month. It works for $10,000 a week. It works for $10,000 a day. It works for $10,000 an hour. And I know that because there's a certain amount of activity that needs to be done to generate $10,000 in a month. If I do that activity in a month, I'll earn $10,000 a month, correct? Yeah. But that same activity, if it's done in 1 hour, it's still $10,000 in that 1 hour. So it's really about growing your network to a point where it's got enough activity to generate that amount of income. Does that make sense? Yeah. But the activity first has to be generated by who? By you. Right? It has to be generated by you. So desire is the starting point of all achievement. But how do I make this a desire? How do I make $10,000 a month a desire? How do I make $10,000 a week or a day a desire? I have to use my senses. I have to use what? I have to use my senses. I'm not going to go through all 15, but the body senses, you've got to use these 5 when it comes to what? Your desire. What is success? The ability to see. The ability to what? Hear. Taste. Touch. Smell. Your desire, $10,000 a month. I have to do these 5 things. How often do you see $10,000 a month? So you create a statement. Everything starts with a desire, right? So you create a statement. And that statement is, I'm so happy and grateful now that I earn over $10,000 a month. That's your statement. So what am I doing? I'm hearing that statement. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And you look at the word here. If I add a T, it spells heart. It is the most powerful way to get anything into your heart, what you're hearing. What you're hearing automatically goes into your heart. Words are seeds. Words are what? Seeds. Seeds. Your heart is your earth. If I plant a seed into the earth, what is it going to do?
Grow.
It's going to grow. It's going to grow. If I plant a word into my heart, what is it going to do? It's going to grow. It's going to grow. The same letters that spell heart is the same letters that spell earth. Same letters. Okay? Same letters. But what happens is we plant the wrong seeds. And it produces the wrong harvest. Does that make sense? Yeah. And we plant those seeds based on what we see. Yep. You see your back office and you plant the wrong seeds. The business is not moving. My team is not working. You know, every time you say my team is not working, it only means you're not working. Because you know you're part of the team, right? Right. Like you're not separate from the team. No, right. You're not like over here and then the team over there. No. You're part of the team. Is this making sense? Yes. So what you're seeing, watch this, waters the seed. Wow. That's why when I start learning this principle, I made sure that every time my eyes were open, I wasn't seeing where I was. I was seeing where I wanted to go. So I literally put these words and these signs everywhere where I could see, boom, this is how much I'm earning. I never looked at where I was. I spent less time in the back office. I hear all the time, the back office. I'm like, why are you there? why are you in the back office? I looked at the back office to make sure my check was right. That's it. My check was right, good to go. My check was wrong, hey, my check was wrong. What's up? That's it. I didn't need the back office to bill. I wasn't focused on that. I was focused on where I was going. Does that make sense? Taste. You say, well, what does taste have anything to do with $10,000 a month? Well, watch this. Your taste is not just what you're eating. It's not just that. You know you have a taste in clothes? You have a taste when it comes to environments? There's certain restaurants I can't go to. One specifically is Chili's. Can't go to Chili's. Can't do it. Won't catch me dead in Chili's. Do you know why? Because in 2008, I went to Chili's and I had those ribs and I had food poisoning. Almost died.
Wow.
And no, see, I had food poisoning and I was poor. So I couldn't even go to the hospital. That's when you know it's bad. All right? My taste has changed. So what you have to do now, if your goal is to be at $10,000 a month, you got to say to yourself, where would I go and have dinner when I'm making $10,000 a month? It's not Chili's. I'm going to go to Steak 48. I'm going to go to Mastro's. Does that make sense? You think, don't think this is like, oh, no. What you're doing is you're changing your standard. I'm getting more comfortable with where I want to be versus being comfortable with where it is that I am. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Smell. It matters. Right? Have you been to the Post Oak Hotel?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Different smells.
It smells different from the Hilton. And the Hilton ain't bad. Right? But guess what? The Hilton smells different from Motel 6. Does that make sense? I would go to expensive hotels. I would go to expensive restaurants when I couldn't afford the food. When I couldn't afford to stay there, I would go there so it would change my what? Taste. It would change the smell as well. I'll tell you a funny story. A mentor of mine at the time gave me a sample. You know those little samples you get in the mall? He gave me a sample of Bond number 9. And when he gave me the sample, I was broke. So I would just dab, just a little dab here, a little dab there, right? And as time went on, I was able to start making more money. I started wearing Bond number 9. And one day I was running out of cologne, and I had this broke thought came over me and said, you don't need to buy a $300 bottle of cologne. You can just buy Intuition. Because that's what I used to wear. It's a $60 bottle of cologne. So I go to the mall, walk in, I pass Bond number 9, I go to the Estee Lauder, and I get the Intuition. I said, well, let me just spray it again, let me just remind myself. And I sprayed it, put it to my nose. My nose said, hell no. Why? Because my nose had smelt something what? Higher.
Better.
Brothers, if I catch you wearing John, if I catch you wearing Nautica, a Polo, we got a problem. You know what I'm talking about, right? What was the other one? Cool Water.
You see me on classic.
You see me out here? Y'all remember that, right? If I catch you, you gotta change your stance. But see, here's the big thing. It's your environment. My desires changed because I changed my environment. My desires changed because I changed who I was surrounding myself with. I started to surround myself with people that were more successful than I was. So now I wanted more. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then touch. You gotta go. You gotta go to those dealerships. You gotta go to those homes. I don't care if you don't think you can afford it right now. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Go there. Touch the car. Sit in the car. Sit in the hotel. Get the experience down. It's changing you. It's doing something to you that you don't even understand. Does that make sense? It's making you uncomfortable where you are. Do this on a consistent basis, right? At another time, I'll teach you about imagination. That's part of the soul and managing your emotions, right? And understanding the mind. The mind is so powerful. The mind is so powerful. It's literally the GPS for your life. The GPS. We're here at the hotel right now. If I wanted to go to the airport, right? And I didn't know how to get to the airport. My GPS does though. My GPS contains the information that I need for me to go from here to what? The airport. But until I tell the GPS, take me to the airport, the GPS is worth nothing. So the mind, as powerful as it is, does you no good until you give it what? An instruction. Until you give it a what? An address and say, take me here. $10,000 a month, take me there. But see, here's what happens. You hear a training like this, and you say, okay, good, I'm going to do it. And then, something happens. Somebody quits. And you tell your GPS, oh, it's not working. And your GPS says, okay, let me take you where it's not working. Because the mind doesn't know what's real or what's not real. It just takes the information you give it and spits it right back out to you. That seed, that little seed that you plant into the ground, that little seed, it has more seed in it.
That's right.
Isn't that crazy? The little seed has more seed in it. The little seed has more fruit in it. The little seed that you can't see. So you think your words are not powerful because you can't see them. But it contains.
Wow.
It contains everything. It contains more fruit. It contains more seed. And just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not germinating. You plant it in the ground, you can't see the seed anymore. And all of a sudden, this harvest comes. And you're like, well, why is my life like this? You said it. Why is my business like this? You said it. I hear it all the time, and it saddens me. It really does. It really saddens me. And I'm like, why are you talking like that? Don't you understand? Don't you understand? Right? You gotta understand the power of the mind, the words that you're speaking. It's so critical. But then here's the deal. All of this is great, but ladies and gentlemen, if you're not consistent, right? If you're not what? Consistent with the skill. I don't know a whole lot about this industry of network marketing. I don't know the 7 steps I don't know all that. Here's what I know. You prospect every day. Okay? You present every day. Okay? And you promote for events. That's what you do. And how often do you do it? Can I be honest with you? Can I be honest with you?
Sure.
Every day. No. I'm gonna do it once a week. Can you work your job once a week?
No.
What would happen if you went to work once a week? What would happen? Would you have that job? If you said, you know what? Man, I'm only gonna come in once a week, man. I'm tired. You know what? I don't even feel good. So I'm gonna come in once a week. Because that's what we do with our business. We work the business when we're feeling good. If you feel bad, oh, I can't work this. I feel bad. But you don't do that with your job, though. Whether you feel good or you don't feel good, you go in.
Yeah.
Because you know your boss will do what? Fire you if you don't go in. Well, guess what? When you're a business owner, guess who the boss is? You are. You just fire yourself. If you go a day, 2 days, 3 days without actually showing someone the presentation, you're fired. You fired yourself. Now, I would understand 15 years ago if it was a challenge for you, right? But you have no excuses now because of technology. You can have me do your presentation every day. I literally have a 31-minute presentation that goes through everything about the company. You can literally send it to somebody and say, hey, watch this, call me back. Then we do 2 calls a day, Zoom, for you, where you can actually send someone to actually watch the presentation. Done by one of the diamonds or, one of the successful person in the business. So we have all these tools that are available for you to what? Present. And so, well, David, what do I say to them? What do I say to people to get, I don't know. Say whatever. Say this. I saw an opportunity. I loved it. I think it would be great for you too. There's a call that's happening at 6 p.m. Can you cancel whatever you have going on at 6 p.m. and be on this call? Can you say that? I'm not asking you to be great at sales. I'm asking you to just be yourself, but be consistent. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's all. These are the skills. Prospecting, presenting, promoting for events. How many are you going to be at Alive? How many are you going to be at the Alive event? Right? It's everything. It's the whole. The business hasn't really even started yet.
Right.
And that's not. I'm not just saying that just to say that. Decisions are made at conventions. Decisions are made. In the 19 years that I've been in this profession, that's when decisions are made. Decisions are made at major events. The emotional impact that you will experience at Alive is what causes people to make the big decision to go for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Zarina made a decision to go for it because she came to the event in Las Vegas. A lot of guests that were at that event, they're either gone Sapphire or even Ruby guests that were at that event. They weren't in the business. They came to that event as guests. And that was an event that had 200 people in the room. Alive's going to have 3,000 people there.
Ooh.
It's going to be off the chain.
Yes.
You got to be there. Now, if I were you, I wouldn't just be there by myself. I would have 10 people there with me. I would have 20. I would have 30. Don't have 100. Oh, don't have 100. It's a wrap. You talk about time freedom. My love for this industry has grown so much. Being on the other side and understanding, like, wow, like it's actually easy. Network marketing is actually easy. Like, all I have to do is talk. That's it. You either say yes or you say no. Those are only 2 choices. You either say yes or you say no. If you say no right now, I'll go even be more successful and then come back to you later on. And then if you say no then, we just smile at each other. Great. It happens all the time. One specific story, this guy. I think I met him when I was in prepaid legal. And years later, this is probably last year, we're at Jam Juice or something. And he walked by. I was like, oh man, I remember you, man. I always try to recruit you in network marketing. That's what I tell people that I was trying to recruit. He was like, yeah, man, I remember, man, you were real desperate. And I was so shocked by what he said, I didn't have a comeback, I just laughed, I was like, oh, okay. But God would have it. About a week later, I was at the Galleria Mall, and I parked right there by Cheesecake, the little ballet. And they just brought my car out, and he was walking out. And he saw me walking in the car. And I could just see it in his face, like, why is he going in that car? And I was like, hey, man, what's up, man? You good? You good?
Real desperate over here.
Yeah, real desperate. I think I was in my Ferrari or something like that. I mean, he was just real puzzled. Desire plus skill times faith. This is the big one right here. Faith. Let me give you another word for faith. You ready?
Yeah.
Patience. Patience is actually the seed that produces faith. If you don't have patience, you don't have faith. Lack of patience is lack of trust. If I need it to happen now, I don't really trust. Like if I need God to do it now, I don't really trust him. Does that make sense? Yeah. Patience is the seed you plant that produces much faith. All right? You gotta be patient. And the only way you're going to be patient is if you keep hearing the promise. You got to keep hearing it. You got to keep watering it, seeing it, hearing it. Hearing it is faith. Seeing it is believing. Those two things, you got to do it. Okay? You got to do it. We're going to announce the next meeting for Houston. You'll get an announcement for that within the next 3 to 5 days. All right? Here's what I recommend all of you do. All right? Make a commitment that the next event, I'm going to have at least 10 to 20 people in my business at the event. They'll have guests, but I'm going to have at least 10 to 20 people on my team at the next event here in Houston. So we'll do one in April. We'll do one in May before the live event. And then coming out of the live event, we'll go to where we're doing it every single week. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. You guys are amazing. Thank you for staying a little bit longer. And we'll see you guys next time. Good night. God bless.
When you come to LA. They're recording.